Oh, greetings. Patrick here from Eight Questions With, and welcome to Wednesday. Um, yeah, okay, as you can see by the title, our guest couldn't make it today. So, yep, so we had to blaze forward and decided to come out with a last second Hail Mary. So we're gonna get together with some friends and just do an impromptu roundtable. Let's talk about a little bit about everything. We can talk about what's coming out, and as far as horror goes, what's coming forward. We know that Terrfier 2 is coming. Um, we know that Halloween Ends is coming up. We know that of course, we got the new IFC Midnight movie coming up that looks absolutely insane called Hatching. Um, and we could talk about that a little bit. Talk about that. Um, the status of movies, in general. Doctor Strange and the Multi Universe is coming out. Um, let's see. No, but you know what I heard? I heard that they're gonna redo. I just watched The Crow last night. I watched The Crow for the first time for a long time, and wow, that movie's still absolutely beautiful and also very sad. Um, but I heard that they're talking about redoing The Crow with Bill Skarsgård from It, and that's a terrible decision. Can't, can't tell you something. I'm going like, you know what? He'd be a terrible Crow. Um, and we have a better idea. We actually have a better idea about if you're going to redo The Crow. We have an idea about that, but we're going to talk about that once everybody gets here. I will tell you that I did watch Blood Claws today. I went to Tubi and I watched Blood Claws. I can't even begin to tell you uh, uh, about that movie. I felt like in a way I felt like I dodged a bullet. Like it was something I was. It was. Oh, I don't understand how any serious film distributor could put that out. I don't care if you're Wild Eye or Tubi. I don't get it. I don't get how you actually could actually put that out that for sale. It's unsellable. It's unwatchable. I just don't get it. Uh, that was a steamer, all right, Casey. You're right. That was Blood Claws was a streamer, all right. A big pile of steaming cat poo. Hey, Star Lord, how are you? But we have a better idea, though, Star Lord. We do. And I think it's a good one. We have a theory. Uh, yeah. You won't be seeing me. You will not be seeing me pick up Blood Claws for any amount of money. Whether it be a dollar at the library or 10 cents or at the free library, you'll never see me own that movie. That was my first Dustin Ferguson movie. Why not? She's already got crow's feet on her eyes. She's halfway there to be a crow. She got, yeah, she's got crow's feet around her eyes. Yeah, no doubt. She could play a crow. Uh, yeah, so we're gonna have some guests. We're gonna have pop up on the stream. And we will be back tomorrow, of course, with we have our friend Tim Hatch coming in tomorrow. So we're gonna be talking about that. I'm gonna be watching one of his movies after I get done with the show tonight. It hit Tubi too, and I thought I'd go ahead and watch it. Noah's Shark. So I'm gonna watch Noah's Shark. You know what? And you know what? As much as I make fun of Brett Kelly and Mark Polonia, I owe them a sincere apology compared to what I watched today. No, I never saw the TV series, nor did I see the sequels. No, I didn't. Yeah, it seemed painful, man. You know, it was painful watching that movie today. I haven't seen it in years, but watching it and knowing how Brandon Lee died. But I also got to say, on the plus side, I watched it, and again, Alex Proyas is an amazing director. Alex Proyas is an amazing director. He's the one that directed The Crow. He directed Dark City, um, and it was a good. You know, he's a fine director. Mr. Bones going wee. Uh, yeah, I have to watch. I don't think I've seen Salvation yet. Wasn't it the second and the third one not that good, but the fourth one was decent? The fourth one came closest to the original. Yeah, no, and yeah. Sometimes those sequels, you know, sometimes they do work though. You know, I mentioned this before a couple of times on my reviews, but there's been some series that were, you know, like the Scorpion King. Okay, so there's the Mummy, and then you have the Scorpion King, and they made him a franchise. You know, they did he appeared in the Mummy, the second Mummy, and then he did the Scorpion King, and then they went straight to video with three different actors. Victor Webster did it. Um, uh, um, Zach McGowan did it, and one other guy did it. The movie was Zach McGowan in it. Uh, um, the, I think it was the Soul Book or something like that. Um, man, that movie was tight. That movie was real good, real good. Came closest to the original Scorpion King in terms of fun and excitement. Which because I love the Scorpion King. I watch that thing about once a year. The one with the Rock, that was really cool. Um, let's see, but some just don't work. Like the Anaconda series don't work. The Lake Placid series don't work. You know, their sequels just aren't that good. Um, let's see. They try to do it with Backdraft. Ah, God, I don't know why they did that. They did it with Death Race. Death Race was really cool. Death Race has been cool. Again, Zach McGowan did the last two. I think they were sensational. Eric, oh really? Eric maybe has played the Crow. Yeah, wow. I'm gonna have to go check that out. No, I didn't know he did that. No way. Eric Mabius and Kristen Dunst. I'll be damned. I'll have to go see that. I knew Eric Mabius did he did Ugly Betty, and then he did the Signed Sealed Delivered series for Hallmark. But he did a Crow movie? Hey Echo, come on up. Or unless you're tied down. Wow, all right. Yeah. Wow. I want to see that. I'm sure Kristen Dunst was good in it. Oh, I must be frozen. I see. I'm sorry. Hold on, Echo. I didn't notice I was frozen. Yeah, that's what happened. I got froze, so I didn't see you there. All right. Wow. I just had my mind blown. They're telling me that Eric Mabius was in The Crow, did a Crow movie.
There's a few of those out there.
Yeah, I watched the original one, and just I haven't seen it for a while, and still blown away by
Fix
by
my
how
chair
good it
here.
is.
Edward Furlong and the guy from Angel did one, I think. Two.
James Marster, the guy who played Spike.
No, David. What Mr. Bones is talking about. I think he played like the bad guy in it.
David Boreanaz? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh yeah. Okay. Crooked. Wicked Prey is Edward Furlong and Tara Reid and David Boreanaz. Well, I must have been probably when Tara and Ed were probably crashing and burning.
Yeah, there's a sad story.
God, don't you know what? Do you remember the first movie you saw? Do you remember the first movie you saw with Tara Reid in it?
Oh wow. No, for some reason I keep wanting to say American Pie, but she probably wasn't in it. Or was she?
She was in American. She was in American Pie, but the first time I ever saw Tara Reid on the screen, she was in Urban Legend.
The last time I saw her was in Trailer Park Shark.
God, yeah.
They Milo Jovovich's niece is in it, and they gave Tara Reid top billing over her, and Tara Reid's in it for 2 short scenes, and then she dies.
Yeah.
Yet they gave her top billing.
Well, that's because she was coming off the Sharknado movies, and her, she had sort of reestablished herself a little bit.
Yeah, she makes a Sharknado joke in it because she plays like this trailer park trash, and they go, "We got sharks," and she goes, "The weatherman ain't say anything about a tornado."
Yeah. Mr. Bones saying City of Angels is Vincent Ferrell. I've heard that was the second one.
That was the second. I actually have the graphic novel for the one that the first movie is based on.
Wow, look at this. Echo, man, we already got 10 people in here. Thank you guys so much, man. Our guest could not come in today. Yeah, what can I say? Sometimes that happens to us. So instead of having a dark night, I decided to hey, Aaron, glad you're here, sir. Hi, T. Betty. I decided to throw together this roundtable. I'm
supposed to be part of an Easter event this weekend. They're hosting in my town, and they kept changing when I had to go down because the person in charge had a death in the family. So I had to go down and talk to somebody about how they were going to set the park up. And we went from 1 to 4, and when they go 4, I went, oh shit, I don't know how long this is going to take. And I already had told you, I was willing to do this. Luckily, it took about 10 minutes. So
Aaron saying that was a fine replacement.
After I told you I would do this, I had no problem with it. That popped up, and I was just like, oh fuck.
Well, you know what happened? I almost didn't make it myself. I thought I was doomed. I said, I have a little bit of time before the show come on, so I popped up Blood Claws on Tubi, and that's the first movie I ever watched on Tubi, by the way.
I need to watch that.
No, you don't. No, you really don't.
Bad?
It's that bad. It's so awful. I mean, it is. That's my first. Star Wars saying you're past 500. It's not me, Marty.
Yeah. Last night I was getting liquored up and live streaming, and then right before I got ready to get off, I saw 501. It's like, yes.
But Casey came through and delivered for me because he came back and said, well, if he's still over 500, and then Casey came back and says, you're off the hook because he's under 500. I'm going like, yes. So,
what? I thought you wanted to eat that sandwich, didn't you?
Oh, I wanted to get Marty over 500. So, all right, here's our second mysterious guest. Let's give our hands together. Get my good friend Brian Skutle, film critic Brian Skutle, the guy who knows everything there is to know. Hello, Brian. Welcome, man. Glad you're here. Are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we got some people here in the chat already. We already got some people in the chat. I'm totally stoked. This is awesome.
Yeah, that's a big question. Did he jump the shark and eat the sandwich already?
No, I did not eat the sandwich yet because Marty has to get over 500. I think he needs to get to about 510. That way, when they knock him back down, and they will because they already did, then he'll still be over 500, and then I'll eat that sandwich. We're doing there's a food challenge going on, Brian.
Might be having connection problems or something.
Yeah. I don't think so, Casey. I think if I had asked Brian if I had asked everybody here to watch Blood Claws before coming up on the panel, I'd be sitting here by myself with a bunch of crickets.
Unless we wanted to roast you for it.
Oh yeah, they could have came out and roasted me for it too. Yeah, you don't want to see that movie. I'm telling you now, it is. He's at 498. That's not a bad drop off, Bones. That's not a bad drop off.
Is it Birdemic bad?
Oh, it's way worse than Birdemic. This is like The Room bad.
Oh God.
There you go. I knew I'd like
I heard for years and years I had heard people trash that movie, and I decided I got to see if it's as bad as they say. It's worse.
Yeah. 2 more subs. Yeah, he only needs 2 more.
I was literally, when I watched that movie, I was skipping ahead.
You know what? I would have liked to have said I would have skipped for Blood Claws, but if I would have just skipped once, it would have been the end of the movie. It's
less than an hour long.
Yeah, it's listed as 55 minutes, right? 55 minutes. It ends at 47. There's 8 minutes of credits.
But that's not really a movie now, is it? If it's less than an hour.
No, it's like a TV episode.
Or a short movie. Not a real movie.
But that's how Wild Eyes feel. Wild Eyes claiming it is a real movie. Wild Eyes is like Rob.
Bones, Bones, you don't want to know.
Oh no, there's another movie called Shutter.
Yeah, but the one we're talking about, Bones.
Yeah, you don't want to know.
For medical reasons, you don't want to know.
The worst best movie. Hey, John, how are you?
Did you know that Tommy Wiseau made a short, whatever, of him playing out one of the scenes from the Batman movie, the Joker one, with Heath Ledger?
Oh, did he?
Jesus. He's playing Heath Ledger's part, and the guy who is screwing his girlfriend in the room is playing Batman, if I remember right. It
just must be delusions of grandeur. It has to be that way.
If you want delusions of grandeur when it comes to movies, I don't know if I can say his name. What the hell? Uri Ball.
Hold on 1 second. Justin's asking for the link here. So let me go see if I can grab it for him. All right. Hold on, Justin. And Brian, I hope Brian can come back.
Now, when I had to go down to that park, because the park's right down the road from me, right as I walk out the door, the temperature drops and I get hit by snow flurries.
My friend in North Dakota, she got let's see.
I'm literally awake now because of the cold weather.
One second here. Get out of here. All right, Justin, I'm sending it to you now, buddy.
You hear about Lloyd Kaufman?
No.
He, I guess, tested positive for COVID-19.
Yeah.
He uploaded a video to his Instagram, I guess, when he was doing that tour for Shakespeare shit or whatever. He looks like he's thinking probably that's when he got it.
Well, Gilbert Gottfried died yesterday too.
Yeah, but he just was like talking about, well, gonna happen. He was around thousands of people when he was on that tour, so it's bound to happen.
It should go away. It should go away now, Bones. I just had to open up the StreamYard to get the link. So it should be good. We should be back. Yeah, I was really saddened to hear about that, man. That really sucks about Godfrey. He was only 67. I guess he had a genetic disease.
Yeah, I know they said he'd been sick for a while, but they wasn't able to see anything, them saying why he was sick.
Hey. All right. Now we got a party going.
All right.
Yeah, that was sad about Gilbert Godfrey. I just saw that yesterday.
All right, so here we are. Here's our roundtable for tonight. Thank you guys all for coming in and saving my bacon. We had a little guest snafu, and so I just went ahead and grabbed some heads, some folks that I like, and threw them out here. I haven't had Brian on since the very first show, so we had to have him come back. He is now a full-fledged music critic. Now you're ready for a new site, right, Brian? Bananas isn't it called Bananas or?
Wait a minute, sorry, you're really breaking up on my end. I can barely understand. Let's see.
Are you? Oh, sorry about that, man. This sucks. All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that sounds.
Oh, he's gonna vanish on us.
Oh,
must be having net issues or connection issues, whatever.
That rating that for you.
Okay. Yeah, he must be up. So you got snow anyway, right? Yeah. Don't talk all at once. No, I agree, Aaron. Yeah.
I'd like snow here right now. It's horrible. Hot.
We got hell yesterday. Like, I remember it held earlier in the day and it was not so bad. And then later during the night, it was really full on, hard hell. The little tiny ones, but it was just something else to open the door and see that.
Yeah, we hadn't had a drop of rain here in probably 2 months.
Are you kidding?
It's bad. Yeah, it's bad drought right now. It's hitting like mid-90s right now already.
That was Washington State where I live last year. We got like that, but luckily we've been getting a little bit more. But we've been having some systems. We're having some systems moving in with basically rain, snow, and wind. And if you're doing Easter events this weekend, it's gonna be really hell.
Yeah, that does suck.
Brian, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you much better, and my connection's much better right now. So.
Okay, good. Welcome back, man. We haven't had you on since the very first episode.
Yeah, it's been a while. It definitely has, but I am I'm looking forward to being here.
We're just yeah, you already pointed that out, Mr. Bones. I knew he was gonna say that. Star-Lord, what's your favorite Tommy Wiseau scenes from The Room?
The credits, the end of the credit.
Yeah, clicking my remote, taking the DVD out of the player.
I should have never decided to see if what they were saying was true about that movie.
Well, you know what? I'm still, like I said, I watched Blood Claws today. It was only 55 minutes, so I said, I'm going to watch it, so I have something to talk about tonight. So it was my first Dustin Ferguson movie. I owe Brett Kelly and Mark Poloni a huge apologies because as bad as their movies are, they don't even come in the same zip code as Dustin Ferguson's. It's just painful. I was painful.
Now I am intrigued about this.
It is. Oh, once you see it, you'll come back. You'll be like me. You'll be like, instead of saying, remember Nick Cage in the Wicker Man? He says, "No, not the bees, not the bees." You'll be coming back going like, No, not the Ferguson, not the Ferguson.
I haven't
So,
seen that one.
Oh, you're tearing me up. Does he ever open his eyes really in that movie the whole time, just walking around? No, I didn't hit her. I did not hit her. Oh, hi, Mark.
So, and we were also talking briefly about The Crow, because I watched the original Crow last night, and I hadn't seen it for a while. And
Actually, 1 minute.
that was
I do love it. That's an excellent movie.
yeah, that's what yeah, it really was. Now, they're saying that Bill Skarsgård from Pennywise is, I think you mentioned it, Justin, that he's going to be doing they tapped him to do the remake.
That he's supposed to be pinned as the lead in that. So
awesome if you can get your hands on it.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it is.
And I guess they did shoot a scene with the Grim Reaper skull guy. They did it all.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, they were trying to make it work, but basically I think it was somewhat, a lot of it was from an effects standpoint. It just wasn't really working at the time. And then basically after Brandon Lee died, they basically refigured the tone of the movie, essentially, making it emphasizing more of the melancholy love story than the gothic horror action part of it.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
but
got
no, graphic novel was extraordinary. I mean,
Nice.
Got some. I love the artwork in it.
Yeah.
I had seen this, and after seeing the movie at some used bookstore, I was like, I got to pick this up to see what it's like, and that's hella good.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's like I've always been of the opinion that I understand why people. I mean, The Crow is I've got the poster over my left hand shoulder here. The Crow is one of my favorite movies of all time, but I'm not against the idea of if you're going to do something that's closer to the graphic novel, doing it over, because of the fact that I think there's enough differences between those two that you can certainly do an interesting job, because you clearly would not be remaking the movie. You'd be doing a new adaptation of the book,
of the source material. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually like the idea of Bill Skarsgård and as Eric Draven. My biggest issue with is they couldn't have gotten a more visually interesting director than Rupert Sanders, the director of Snow White and the Witch Queen or whatever, that Kristen Stewart
Oh yeah.
Snow White adventure movie.
Yeah, I think I watched. I didn't even watch the whole movie all the way through. I remember watching some of it. I didn't really get into it.
Yeah, it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
My idea was this, instead of putting Bill Skarsgård in there, because you could do two needs with one shot, and that is, like right now, there are no martial arts stars really in America right now, in American cinema. I mean, we have a few names, but they're much older now. They're older. Yeah. They're still relevant, but not for this role. Mm-hmm. And to me, I think it would be a really good idea is to go ahead and develop a new martial arts star. There's got to be somebody out there under 30 that they can find that has the skills and can act as well and make a star around them, because this is a movie that is going to draw people regardless who's in it. Yeah. Okay. You could put me in it, and they're still gonna come out and watch it. And I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying though, right? Because everybody wants to see what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I think to me it's like why you got that. It's almost like a fail-proof type scenario. Why not groom and prep a new young martial arts star or stars? Have a couple of have like 3 or 4 young martial artists that have some skills. There's plenty of people in the UFC mixed martial arts that are
could they act?
And yeah,
that's the question.
They can act. I've seen some of them act. I mean, Michael Bisping held his own. He's done some adventure movies. He's not a bad actor. I've seen oh god, the guy with the mohawk. He wasn't terribly bad. I mean, but I wouldn't put him in The Crow. But I'm saying that there's talent out there that you could probably develop.
Here's one for you. You ever watched the show, the relaunch of Hawaii 5-0?
I watched some of it. Yes.
Do you remember the guy who ran the shrimp truck?
I'm not sure. I
didn't watch the whole heavy set, like Hawaiian Samoan type guy.
Oh yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
He was in the very first UFC fight.
Huh.
He got his ass kicked by a scrawny guy.
Jamie's mentioning Jared Leto. You know what? I don't think Jared Leto is not exactly. Right now he's struggling.
I'm done.
Superhero genre.
I'm done with Jared Leto at this point. I mean, I didn't dislike him in Dallas Buyers Club. I thought he did a very good job in it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like based on stuff that we've heard about him on the Suicide Squad set, the fact that his Joker is just not that good. And then Morbius, I'm just really if we don't see Jared Leto for a while, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Did he just do another movie other than Morbius?
Yeah, he did House of Fuji too, or
House of Gucci. Yeah.
Oh God.
Maybe he'll go back to just doing a few more albums with his band right now and focus on that for a little while until he gets back into the movie gig. I don't know. I agree though.
Let's see. Yeah, that would be. That's the thing about the martial arts. It's like, yes, Brandon Lee was, he's a martial artist, but while he didn't come out straight out and do martial arts in the movie, but yeah, he did several moves that you could definitely tell that he had those skills. The way way they let him move. I think The Crow is a perfect opportunity to develop a new martial arts star. No, he doesn't have to go out there and defend or kill people with nunchucks or that. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying it's perfect time to find someone that can at least look the part, and that way you could jumpstart two genres with one, because it's true, our martial arts films, as they are struggling. I mean, I think they are popular still. I do think they're popular, but there's just no one else. There's no one doing them. It's like, we want to, but the only people we have doing them are what, Donnie Yen, Jet Li, the usual suspects.
Yeah.
And
the guys have been doing it for the last 20, 25 years. So the guys we have today.
Right. I mean, it's a little alarming when you sit there and think martial arts, and you start thinking about the youngest person doing it, and the youngest person doing it who could sell a ticket is Scott Adkins, and he's in his early 40s.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, if you're looking at the landscape for action nowadays is just so very drastically different than it was in the 80s and 90s when you had Steven Seagal, when you had Jean-Claude Van Damme, and then when you had Brandon Lee coming up. I mean, the landscape of action movies was just, it was a little bit of, you basically had a little bit of everything going. And I mean, now so much of it is dominated by superhero movies and comic book movies that, I mean, most of the straight action movies that we get are relegated to, we'll get a perfunctory theatrical release and then, make bank on the VOD sales and rentals. And, I mean, you look at Ambulance that came out this past weekend, it's getting really good reviews. It's probably Michael Bay's best reviewed movie in a while, but it did nothing at the box office.
I saw that, yeah.
It didn't?
Yeah.
I thought
it's his lowest lowest opening since The Island, and it even goes below that.
Wow. How much money did it make?
Oh, it was less than 10. I
wow.
thought it was around 8 or so.
Oh, that's horrible.
Wow.
That is
I
horrible.
do want to see that movie. It looks really interesting.
It's really entertaining.
Yeah, I do want
It's
to
really entertaining.
Yeah, it's had that sense of The Rock and On Air in it.
Just classic Michael Bay. That to me, I was fine with that. Seeing the previews of it, so
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
No, I really liked it. So yeah.
cool. Yeah, it gives me hope. I do want to see it, but I don't know if I'm going to go to the theater and watch it. Might just wait till it comes out.
That's the problem, right now, and it's like, yeah, wow. But what did it come out just this past weekend?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if wow, that's not exactly the movie you think you'd release the week before Easter.
Yeah, you think you want an action film like that, big action thing on Easter weekend or the holidays, at least to get some of that, that
Was
bump
it
in the
movie?
box office.
Was it exclusive just to the theaters, or was it like
Yes.
theaters?
No, it's exclusive to theaters. So
Are people coming back, Brian, to the theaters? I mean, you probably know this better than all of us, but do you see people coming back at all?
Yes and no. I mean, for the most part, I mean, I would say it's starting to get back to normal, but at the same time, you can definitely tell that if it's not pre-existing franchise, if it's not a superhero movie, chances are it's not really going to do anything.
When I went and saw the last Spider-Man movie, I would say the house was packed, but people were like holding one seat on each side of them. They didn't want people sitting next to them.
Yeah.
One guy was holding two, and people were getting pissed. And I was hearing a lot of people going, "I'm gonna get my fucking money back."
Yeah. Oh, they probably just went to the next showing. But
I sat 2 seats away from one guy, and I remember at points looking over, and he was just like glaring at me.
Why? You're 2 seats away from him.
Because his woman was going to come sit next to him and was going to put her 1 seat away from me. So he's kind of like, it's like,
well, there's nothing you can do about that.
Oh yeah, they shouldn't go out then if they're that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, sorry.
And there were no rules about
right.
with the seats. It was just people were just randomly coming in doing that.
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean, basically any restrictions as far as COVID, I think for the most part are basically gone unless they're dictated by the city. I mean, or the county.
That's the way it is here.
That's basically what it is.
But where I live, it's a little bit different because I live on a reservation. So you have the state, the county, and then you have also the reservation. So.
All right.
Huh. They were talking about fresh movies, and Jamie and Casey both like X from A24.
I've been wanting to see that.
Yeah.
What's it about? Because I don't think I've seen anything about it.
Basically, I think what I've gathered from it is it takes place in like the late 70s, and there's a film crew, a pornographic film crew, basically going to go shoot a porno, and they're going to this, I guess, is it like a farm or something? They asked to borrow their farm or their houses or whatever for a couple of days, not letting the people know that what they're actually really doing, just filming a documentary or something. And then supposedly the family or the people that live there, or I guess, I don't know if they're like sadistic, whatever, they still go on a murdering spree. Not really sure. That's just the gist of what I've gotten the details from, but it looks really good.
Well, speaking of things I watched, for the first. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically a slasher movie. It's from Ty West, who he's done some decent films over the years. But I mean, I've heard good reviews. I mean, I know. I haven't had a chance to see it myself. I know the website that I'm a part of, Right Banana, which we're kind of doing the same type of thing as Rotten Tomatoes, but it's a little bit more scientific in terms of how the scores aggregate. It's a little bit more accurate to like how the critics actually feel towards it. I know it's still one of the higher rated films we've done with 78%, which is not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the highest we've done right now is 89% for the Batman. So, and that's the only one that's gotten over 80 so far. But I know this week we're doing with Fantastic Beasts 3 and Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I would imagine will probably hit that 80% threshold based on what I've heard about it.
Well, wait a minute. What does Cyrano get?
We didn't do Serrano, unfortunately, because of the fact that it was such a limited release. We're trying to bounce bigger releases with streaming, and right now we're basically only doing like a movie or two a week. As sort of, we're still kind of in that early phase. It basically launched in February, so we're basically just doing like a movie or two a week. So it's not like, every movie that comes out is going to get a scorer. So that's basically what we're doing. But yeah, unfortunately, Serrano was just so limited release that we didn't do that. And it's a shame because I love Serrano. Because I saw that back in November at press screening, and it broke my heart that movie did not catch on with the awards.
Yeah, I do too. I think I agree, because I think that I think they should have. I think they should have definitely been. I mean, at least the very least they could have done is given Haley Bennett a nomination, because she got totally screwed last year. She got totally screwed.
For Swallow, yeah. I mean, it should have been her and Dinklage should have been easy nominees for Serrano. I think it's the best work Dinklage has ever done. He would have been, if he had been in this category, this list of 5 nominees this year, he would have been my top pick by far.
Yeah, I was just I mean, it's like I was watching it, I was watching the release and how they rolled it out there, and I was sitting there going like, why is this such a hard, and not only that, but why is it having a hard time rolling out, and why isn't it getting any love at all from anybody? Then and then you go and find out that it's MGM, and you can figure it out. Well, there you go. They don't have any money, so they can't really push it.
Well, it's also because of the fact that they basically saw the easier pushes in awards for Licorice Pizza and House of Gucci. So, I mean, granted, House of Gucci only ended up with like 1 Oscar nominee, but still, I mean, Lady Gaga still got a SAG nomination for that movie. But
do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically one of those things where you just pick your races, and as annoying as that is, sometimes they just don't go the right way.
Hey, maybe Dinklage will get an award for the remake of Toxic Avenger.
There you go.
Which he's playing, apparently, the Toxic Avenger.
Right.
Yeah. That's it. I know that they cast him in that. Honestly, why would a serious actor like Dinklage? I mean, yes, I know he's just in comedy, and I've seen some of his comedy. He's very good at it, but I wonder what made him decide to take that role. I mean, because that's such a cult film role, Like most mainstream America doesn't really know. They might have heard of the Toxic Avenger, but they've seen it.
Like he's money, or also maybe the script just blew him away. Who knows? It might be.
Or maybe he's actually a fan of the original. Who knows?
I mean, there's that too. I mean, I can see Dinklage. I can see Dinklage being, I can kind of see him doing something like that. As I love the range he shows, whether it's on Game of Thrones or Serrano or Death at a Funeral or Station Agent. I mean, he's done so much great work. I mean, even something like Elf, where it's very much a joke, but I mean, you can tell I think to a certain extent, I think he probably has more diverse taste than a lot of actors do nowadays. And so I'm curious to see what that's going to be like.
I would be more curious of that than what Star-Lord just said. He says,
Star-Lord,
awesome-
Star-Lord, are you just a big fan of Tommy Wiseau?
I think Star-Lord's killing it.
He's probably got like a little shrine, set up.
You know what though? I'm gonna have to send Star-Lord I might have to get Star-Lord a copy of Blood Claws just to make him happy. And Jamie asked a question too about David Lynch. So let's go up there and see what she said.
About him releasing something at Cannes?
Yeah, which he actually debunked. He actually denied that today, but it'll be interesting to see because they're announcing the Cannes lineup tomorrow, so it's going to be interesting to see if that actually is true or not.
Right.
I mean, I've heard about him having projects in the air. So I mean, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me. It sounds, from what it seems like, we're getting a new 4K restoration of Inland Empire, which blows my mind considering that was made on mini DV film. So I mean, I would imagine that's coming to the Criterion Collection at some point this year. But no, I mean, I'm all for more new David Lynch. I'm curious to see what he would do, if it would be something like Inland Empire, or if it would be something, like Mulholland Drive or Twin Peaks or something like that.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks, the next generation.
There you go.
And not enough time has passed. It's like we're not quite there yet. So
you could for sure, yeah. Everything gets rebooted and redone constantly all the time, always.
Or maybe he's taken over Dune Part 2. That would be fun.
How was the remake?
I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's basically half a movie because of the fact that, I mean, obviously they didn't film everything, so I mean, it sort of has the same issue that a lot of Part 1s have, where it's like, well, it's half the movie that you're expecting. But no, I thought it was pretty good. It got Hans Zimmer his second Oscar finally, even though it's not my favorite Zimmer's scores of late. But I thought it was pretty good. So.
Speaking of composers, the new one that took over for the Star Wars themes, the Star Wars score, wow, he really that was probably the highlight of the whole damn thing for me. I heard some of his score, I was like, okay, so either he's John Williams' son or he's cloned, but he is really
Ludwig Göransson's a really good composer. I mean, he won the Oscar for Black Panther. He's done Creed. He's done what else? It's funny. He also did the score for. He also did music for New Girl, the Zooey Deschanel sitcom.
Yeah,
which I completely forgot about. He's a talented composer, and I love what he's done with The Mandalorian.
Oh, so, love that score.
Yeah.
The Obi-Wan series, though, John Williams came back to do some of the score for it. I saw that a couple of weeks ago. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't wait for that series.
Me too. I'm stoked. I feel like a little kid with that one. That's like most anticipated Star Wars project coming out, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and that's like, oh my god, I can't wait for that one to come out.
Well, the thing is, it's like Ewan McGregor was always the highlight of the prequel movies.
Yeah, I agree.
So getting more of him as Obi-Wan has been always
down with that.
Always my wish list for when Disney bought Lucasfilm.
Right.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor did a really fine job in that series. He really did.
Yeah.
I think that I think people have, because they all got that backlash so bad, and then once people settle down a little bit, look, we can all acknowledge that George Lucas is not a writer.
No.
But that's fine. That's fine. But I don't. like I personally never really had any issues with other than with Lucas's writing, especially with the couples. Like watching watching Natalie Portman and was it Ryan Christensen.
Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen. I felt bad for them both because you could see how they were struggling with the dialogue, with the script, and and this doesn't have anything to do with their acting. It has everything to do with the writing. But I mean, you really go back and look at the prequels. They're not they're good.
Casey, you might want to unfind the room.
Well, and the thing is, it's like I mean, I think to a certain extent, I think the Clone Wars TV series helped a lot in rehabilitating the prequel trilogy because you got more of what I think a lot of people wanted out of the prequels, which is like seeing the Clone Wars for the first time. And you saw how that series basically plays off of the prequels trilogy. And I mean, I agree with you on Lucas. I will say, I think the 20 years away from the director's chair did him no favors as a director of actors. I think that's as much of an issue with those movies as his writing is.
Oh my God! I mean, if he thought it was just a fluke, hey Cody Ray, if he thought it was just a fluke about maybe just George Lucas was just having a bad day. That's not true because he showed up again trying to write a story when he wrote Red Tails, and all it did was just reinforce that George Lucas needs to just he's a hell of a producer, probably an awesome executive producer as far as financing goes, but as far as directing and certainly hell no as far as the writing goes. That's why he should have just stayed away. I think he did the right thing, and I think he must have realized that, which is one of the reasons why I think he did sell to Disney, because he knew that this as far as he was going to be able to take Star Wars himself, because he just didn't have the skill set to take it forward.
As far as the writing goes, he is almost like Rob Zombie. Just you direct whatever, just don't do dialogue, don't do the screenplay, nothing. He's almost not to that severity, of course, but as far as writing dialogue, it's pretty bad.
I'm intrigued to see what Rob Zombie will do with the monsters.
Yes, I am because it's supposed to be PG rated. I don't think he can get away with that.
Well, he did. Remember, Rob Zombie did work on Pee-wee's Funhouse.
Yeah, that's true. But even that, it was like, the monsters, I'm really interested. Only not because it's Rob Zombie, but because it's PG also and Rob Zombie.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, I've got to see this.
I have to admit, before that came out, I had zero interest in seeing it. I did.
Yeah.
I had zero interest in seeing it, and then they said, "Well, now it's PG," and I'm going like, "Oh,
that's
really?
Like okay, I really got to see this."
Because that to me is going to show him. It'll show him. To me, honestly, think about this. It's more difficult to film a movie that's PG and PG-13 in many respects than it is for
those F-bombs in there whenever you need to, just to emphasize a point or whatever part of the dialogue. You got to really think about, how do I convey this without cussing or what, a strong emotion or something. I don't know.
What role is his wife playing it? Because she plays a role throughout all of the stuff.
Oh, she's supposed to be Lily. She's the main, Lily Monster, Herman's wife. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gotta be that part. You're just holding your breath on that, because as long maybe she took classes, maybe she's a better, maybe. I mean, we don't know. Actors do go to classes in between projects, so maybe that happens.
So.
Yeah, I
mean, they might have to go to classes though, just to cut out the cussing for PG rating. They're all gonna have to watch their how they act, how they.
Can you imagine if it gets released, it gets home released, it'll be like the director's cut.
Yeah.
All right, motherfucker, come over here. I'm going to beat your ass.
You doing to my daughter, you motherfucker?
Yeah. Grandpa, if you don't get off me, I'm going to take your head off, you motherfucker. Rob Zombie's monsters. Sorry about the language, folks. But if you're a Rob Zombie fan, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you know it's going to get parodied. Oh
Yeah,
my god! You know that people are going to come up with those all the time. It's like Rob Zombie's Musters and show them. There's Moon. There goes Sherry Moon Zombie walking through the tulips. And then it's like what? And then behind her it's going to be probably Herman with the chainsaw.
Ain't that something though? Having a parody Rob Zombie as Rob Zombie, yeah, ain't that something? Parody him is what you'll be able to do, yeah.
He'll probably cameo. He'll play like the Hollywood sleaze that wants to take over the house. You know how it works in all the old Musters episodes. Someone's always trying to scheme to get in there, and he'll probably play that part. The guy to come in there and try to take over the music, take over the house.
Yeah.
Is this like the third time they've tried to bring back the monsters or something?
Yeah, they've done it a few times.
Yeah. They tried to do it on
TV.
Yeah. It just didn't have, they just didn't have the right parts. They didn't have exactly the right parts. Let's talk. I want to talk a couple of future projects too, because I've been on the outside listening in, and then I heard this theory. I was watching the Night Watch today, and I heard this theory for Halloween. He projected this theory. And I'm old enough to sit there and go like, yeah, I'll tell you what he said, and I'm old enough to sit there and tell you guys that you don't want any part of that theory because that's already been done before, and let me tell you, the backlash was something fierce, and that he mentioned for Halloween Ends, he actually came up with what he's calling the dream catcher theory. And that is because, for the end of it, he's coming up with that Laurie Strode or Michael is going to wake up. One of the two is going to wake up, and everything that's already gone by is a dream.
Oh, God.
No. Please don't.
Good Lord. Oh,
my God. No.
I mean, granted, I can't think of... Now, granted, I will say, I can't think of a better... FU to a franchise that's been this chaotically divergent over the years in terms of quality than to pull something like that.
In the comic, one of the comic books that was based on it, they had it where she was dressed up as Michael, and they didn't know this until they got the mask off. It's like she had PTSD and thought she was Michael.
Sounds like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 almost.
Yeah, I'm listening to this, and he says that. Yeah, he says, what if it's just Michael? What if he's in he's in. First it was Laurie. Maybe Laurie wakes up and it's all been a dream since going back to immediately after the first movie in '78.
So he's basically Smith's Grove, I guess, this whole time dreaming all this, or.
And then he had Michael Myers in being institutionalized or whatnot, and Michael Myers is the one doing the dreaming.
Well, I mean, I think basically what we need to do is, I think the only logical step for this is Frey versus Michael Myers. I mean, he's already fought Jason. Might as well go with Michael Myers as well.
I think my 2 cents. This is just my theory, because they've already put the Easter eggs in it, and I think it makes sense. And we actually have Sandy Johnson on the show, and that's one of the questions I asked her was, is Michael human or is he supernatural? And she said he's both. And it actually really makes sense.
It does.
And to me, I'm going with this theory. I mean, because I was old enough to remember when they did this on a show called Dallas. They had a whole season. They had the whole season where at the end of the season, because Patrick Ewing left the show, right? He left to do other things. So he was gone, and then they carried on the show. And then at the end of the season, Pam comes over and he's taking a shower. It was just the whole season was just a dream.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was another show where at the end it turned out it was like the snow globe.
Yeah, people get really. St. Elsewhere did that. I think St. Elsewhere did that. The end of Bob Newhart did that. They had Bob Newhart. Yeah, they had him.
At least Newhart was funny. At least Newhart was a comedy that you could make sense of that because of the fact that Bob Newhart just having fun with his last episode on his second series. You could get away with that. And I mean, granted, that was a great ending to a series. I will say I haven't seen all of the Halloween movies, but I guarantee you that it's not just the first two that are better than The Room.
Casey started to try to start civil war in the chat. He goes, the room is better than the Halloween movies except for the first two.
Yeah, no. I've seen The Room. No, that is not true at all.
Well, you have to forget one thing. I'm gonna have to sell out Casey here, but Casey is a big SRS cinema fan, so I think he's been watching one too many of their movies. But no, that's just it just doesn't work too well. I know they did that with Tempest too. Remember they had at the end of the movie they put the whole family in a snow globe because they all they went through everything. They looked like they made it out, and then and then next thing you know, you see the last scene. The whole family's inside the snow globe. They thought they had won, and they hadn't. I mean, it was an interesting theory by night. I was just, I'm throwing it out there, but I'm thinking, I also thought, young to remember Dallas, and he wasn't around when I watched it, and I felt bad because I'm sitting there going like, dude, I even said that, it's just the Bobby theory, and it's like, man, I can tell you right now that is not working out well. It would be Star Wars nuclear type of heat coming back.
Oh, yeah.
You would kill.
Go nuts.
If John Carpenter approves of that as a way to get people to stop making Halloween movies, I'm all for it. I'm completely all for it. I'm good with that.
I'm a huge Halloween fan. Love the franchise, but I'm ready for it to go away for a while. I mean, but I don't want it to end like that with being a dream. That would be but I do want to have a proper ending of this new batch of movies, and then it'll take a while. Let's reboot it in 10 years if you want, because they're going to do it. They're always going to come back.
No doubt.
I just hope at least 5 years. I'll even give it 5 years. Nothing sooner than that, because it's like, oh my God, come on, guys.
I guess they're talking about the radio tower, or him being
also.
He can't be controlled. He can't be controlled by radio tower or anything, because again, you have to go back to its age. If you play it into that, then you have to sit there and recognize. You have to acknowledge that the fact that if that's the case, then that's really Michael Myers, and he isn't underneath any sort of supernatural control. He's still 80. He's still 80 years old.
Right.
He's not. Yeah. It doesn't play out. I think the better thing is that the Shamrock Corporation has him bewitched. They toss that. They have him under a spell. It explains supernatural powers. Explains his abilities. I mean, he's got supernatural abilities as far as speed, as far as what else he can do. His invulnerability. I mean, so he's controlled by what that mask. They have what is he? He's still gonna fall down. He's still gonna die. Unless he has supernatural help. So I'm thinking you do one or two things. You go ahead and you have him come in. You have Lori and her granddaughter. They have to take the fight to maybe the Silver Shamrock. They have to break the spell. If they can break the spell, right, they can put themselves out of danger. Right. And you still can have Michael Myers be brought back, because he can be reanimated with the spell, and then you can move on to the next, next trilogy or whatnot. I do. I think the Silver Shamrock will come into and be a big part of it.
That would be cool to bounce off that idea, even maybe in a different direction. Have the Silver Shamrock thing, like you said, possessing Michael. They somehow can kill him, but then you can go on another Halloween movie without Michael for now, and go with the Silver Shamrock storyline again. Kind of a sequel, requel, whatever you want to do with the Season of the Witch. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could go that way, the anthology route, like they originally wanted to, but all have it tied around the Silver Shamrock mystique or the curse or whatever you wanted to do. That you could branch out that way for a while if you want to get away from Michael just for a while. I mean, something. I don't know.
Yeah, because that was Carpenter's original idea, was to make Halloween
Each one was gonna be different, but
Yeah.
Michael became big. The movie
Yeah, yeah.
that was released 23 days after I was born, the original Halloween.
I was almost a year old. I wasn't quite a year old yet. I was like 10 months old.
So it's interesting seeing all the different theories they have for Halloween, but that's the only one that truly logically makes sense.
Yes.
It's logically there's not really nothing else you could actually do. I mean, or you find out some way somehow the reason why he's still able to go, to be who he is, though I don't think it would work, is you found out that he was a clone or some sort, and I don't think people really would want that.
No.
Yeah.
But that's not really Michael. It's just a clone. It's not him. Whereas even if he was possessed, it's still him. He's still.
Yeah.
So you have to keep
serial possession or whatever. Don't do a clone, robot, whatever the heck you want. Nah, I agree totally with that. It's got to be the OG.
Jamie says that she was 5 when Halloween came out.
I was probably, but I don't remember what month in '78 it came out, but I was probably about a year old.
October 25th.
Okay, so I was 14 months old at the time.
Okay, so you're a little bit older.
Yeah. Okay. And Casey
almost 11 months old.
Casey points out something too. I didn't see. I'm waiting for the movie to come to the library. He says his mask comes off. He puts it back on, so I don't know about the mask controlling him. Oh, there you go.
He's dependent on it though too, because when they steal his mask, he chases them down just to get his mask back.
So that wouldn't be a remote control. That would be a
Silver Shamrock thing, though. Okay, so what made Michael kill when he was 6, though? Was Silver Shamrock around then?
No, I think what happened was I think after the second movie.
Okay.
I think they caught him, because you got if you're going to go on and eliminate everything else beforehand,
right?
They caught him after Halloween 3, and they took him, and then they put him down in the laboratory, so to speak, or paramedic. Because
Halloween goes as if a Halloween 2 didn't happen. So
the new one, the new trilogy, yes.
Well, I mean, you could explain it like, you could explain it that let's say he did get institutionalized, but let's just say that they took him from there. Maybe they, because that happens once in a while. We'll try a new treatment. We'll try something new. We'll try, because he was always sick.
That would always explain also that Dr. Sartain, how wacko he was in 2018 movie. Maybe he was a whole part of that whole thing too. Maybe that whole Silver Shamrock cult or whatever you want to call it now.
It'd be fascinating.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I guess some of the movies are coming out. Like, we're starting to hear some of the news for Terrfier 2, and Brian, you could probably help us out a lot more with this than I can. So, what is better for a film as far as home release goes? Like, we're talking about Netflix, and like the producer of the movie was quoted as saying that he hopes they can get onto Netflix. But if he goes on to Netflix without any studio backing him, won't that pretty much eliminate any and all home release? Because Netflix doesn't, if Netflix owns a project 100%, if they control it, they don't release it, do they?
It really, because I know there have been a couple of Netflix releases, or I should say Netflix releases in quotes, that did end up being home releases. I know that Cloverfield Paradox that they basically promoted during the Super Bowl and then premiered like right after the Super Bowl, because of the fact that I think that ended up being a Paramount movie that they bought from Paramount. I think that ended up being something of a home release. I know last year the Mitchell versus Machines did get a home release, but that was because it was a Sony property that Sony sold to Netflix for release.
You think they sell them? They sell them with that built in the contract. Like, we'll sell you this.
I would imagine. I would imagine that the original studio does reserve some rights in there to come up with a physical release for it. Now, I mean, the movies that Netflix produces, that's a different story because, I mean, I know they have had a few Netflix releases that have gotten in Criterion, like The Irishman. How come I can't remember anything beyond The Irishman right now? But I know.
I know they put out a Marriage Story that went straight from Netflix to
Oh yeah,
Criterion.
Marriage Story. Yes, that was another one. And I mean, most people are predicting Power of the Dogs can get in there, which I would be surprised. But yeah, I mean, I think I think the reason I can see that being the case is from the producer's standpoint wanting to get on Netflix is because you're going to get a lot of eyeballs in front of you because regardless of the quality of their original movies and how they manage their movies, they are still the largest streaming service in the world. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even think Disney Plus has surpassed them yet as far as subscribers. But at the same time, if you look at the way that they've treated certain films over the past few years, that whether it's something like Passing that they bought at Sundance and then in when they release in November they kind of buried it, or just last month when they had two movies coming out the same day. They had Judd Apatow's The Bubble, and then they had Richard Linklater's Apollo 10.5. But all most people heard about was The Bubble. So unless you're a Linklater fan or unless you're a cinephile who knows that movie is coming out because it was playing at South by Southwest,
Right.
you don't really know. They didn't really do much to promote it. So it's a double-edged sword with Netflix. I understand it from a standpoint of you're going to get the most likelihood of getting eyeballs in front of your movie if it's
Right.
on Netflix. But at the same time, if you're expecting them to put in significant effort in promoting your film, I think that's a dicier proposition.
Because I mean, he wants to get Terrifier. He wanted to put Terrfier 2 in on Netflix. I thought it would be a bad idea to put it on Netflix without at least a theatrical release. That way the studio still controls it. I mean, let them release it for especially if they can get an October, or at least a September release before October comes in. If they could at least do that, let them have a bubble because a little bit of window before Halloween End comes in.
Yeah.
Then let them do that. But I just think that if you just give the whole movie exclusively to Netflix, I think you're right. You might get because I know the first movie went on Netflix and it got a cult following through there, but it also got a home release. Okay, I don't see any movie being built up to that kind of cult following without a home release.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely think having more. I definitely think having a film. I mean, but there's also a double-edged sword to that too, because the physical, with the exception of places like Dollar Tree, Dollar General, or libraries, like most places are scaling back their home release, the space that they give home releases. Like Best Buy and Target it's pathetic. You look at the DVD shelves now. It's just tragic how little that gets shown there. So yeah, I mean, I think it's such a tricky thing to bank on. I think it is a kind of a tricky thing to bank on physical media, and I mean, I say this as somebody who adores physical media. I love physical media, but at the same time, it's like if you're, I think there are flaws in like every possible scenario right now, because it's hard to, unless you're going to certain film festivals that are showing genre, or if you're going to like Shudder or something like that. I think that's a different, I think that gives you a better chance of having that cult following build, as opposed to if you're just going to get a if you think a week or two theatrical release is necessarily going to help, or because I mean that honestly that's what most of them are nowadays. It feels like they're more and more, the window is the window as far as how long movies are in theaters is shrinking.
Yeah.
I've noticed that too. I mean, it's getting. I mean, the one thing they've done though, some of the studios, they fought back. They've actually fought back to, for the exclusiveness, because when you come out there and say, exclusive, or at theater and home, you're just you're chopping off the theater. Now the theater is more like we want.
Do you remember the drama that started with over Troll? Not was it Trolls 2 or whatever that?
Yeah, it's Trolls 2. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the thing is,
they were like, none of the movies will be in our movie theater because of that.
Well, I mean, first of all, the theater chains didn't really have a leg to stand on at that point, because of the fact that was shortly before or shortly after theater chains closed
because of COVID,
at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, everybody was saying it's going to be the death of movie theaters and stuff like that, and it's certainly the shared streaming theatrical window, or the exclusive. I get why Universal did that with Trolls 2, because of the fact that there was no other option to get it into and from people at the time. You had to put it out there. You had to take that chance to see what streaming would do, and it paid off for them. I mean, it really did pay off for them, and it was, but at the same time, what else were they going to do? Because I mean, part of the thing is we're still seeing movies from early on in the pandemic that are just still getting released. I mean, granted, there are few of them now. Most of those came out last year, but at the same time, you're still seeing movies get delayed because of things happened during the pandemic, or release schedules changed. I mean, Morbius is one of the last ones, but at the same time, I know people consider Avatar 2 one, so, but I mean, honestly, that is as much on James Cameron, I think, as it is anybody. Because let's face it, it's already been 15 years.
They're going to be making 4 of those movies.
Yeah.
Within like the next 4 or 5 years, they're all going to get coming out. Yeah.
Oh yeah, great. Basically, it's nuts. I wish him well.
I think
we'll see.
It'll crash and burn. I think it'll crash and burn. I
went and saw the first one in 3D and was tripped out. So I mean, watching it in 3D it's a trippy movie in 3D.
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic experience in 3D. But yeah, I mean, I still, I've watched it a couple of times on home video, but I mean, for the most part, it's like it's not something I return to a whole lot.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's hard to. Everybody always says it's like you can't really count out James Cameron, because for like 4 movies in a row, he had the most expensive movie of all time. Every single one of them was a hit. So, I mean, you can say a lot about Cameron. He understands, there's something innate that he understands in the audience that a lot of filmmakers just don't.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're definitely going to get something visually striking for the most part and stunning.
Oh,
Very
absolutely.
visual movie. Yeah. For that alone, I am very curious about the new Avatar movies coming out just for that reason. Even though the story's been rehashed and retold, the story's just basic in the Avatar. You got this planet getting basically trying to get rid of them just because for their
oh yeah,
whatever it was. So I mean that story is okay, tried and true, but I go for the experience of seeing the spectacle, the visual effects, and see what he's coming up with now because he is an innovator for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Avatar. I mean, I enjoyed it very much. Yeah, I mean, as far as the second ones and the third one, I mean, yeah, I'd like to see them. I very much like to see them, but I truly don't think that I don't think they'll do very well. Yeah. I think it's been too long, been way too long. And I think we already saw what happened with the Matrix.
Oh, that movie sucked so much.
Yep, and here they are. It says, we'll just bring it back. We'll just bring it back, and everybody's gonna love it all over again. And Keanu Reeves, everybody loves Keanu Reeves, so we'll bring back just about everybody. And they did all that, and yet people are going like, we're not really in the mood to watch that. We're not.
That was a chore to watch.
Yeah. So I'm just.
Keanu Reeves is John Wick. Everybody wants to see John Wick, not Neo anymore. It's John Wick with him. Yeah. So.
I mean, I loved the other three movies when I was much younger, in my 20s.
Yeah.
And now I'm 43 and watching it going.
You're like, what the hell is it?
God, yeah. I could not get into it. It's just like, oh God, someone shoot me. This is terrible.
The only one I'll really revisit now is the first one. I don't care about any of the rest of them. I really don't. They could have ended it after the first one, just been a standalone movie for all after that, I was like, I'm the same way.
You had the bad CGI fight scene in the the second movie?
Yeah.
He's fighting all the things.
Yeah.
I played video games at that time that had better graphics than that.
Yeah. I know.
But if you want bad CGI, go see Mummy 2, The Scorpion King.
Oh God!
That was terrible. That was terrible. Yeah. I thought, you know what though, the thing that it was that even though that was terrible, and it truly was, it does say a lot to fans. Like, what? Yeah, we know that was really terrible when we saw it. We're all like, but we're cringing. But you know what? The story up to that point was absolutely on point. It was on point.
I agree.
It was exciting.
Yes.
It was like, I can forgive that.
Yeah.
I can forgive that. I can watch The Mummy 2 today, and that scene will come on, and it still doesn't bother me because I love the movie. I thought the acting.
And the thing is, it's like, those movies are cheerfully. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Mummy movies, but I recognize them that they are exactly what they are, which are just big budget B movies. It's essentially what they are.
Yeah, you can have
I mean, you have mediocre visual effects in there. It's like, it's a bit annoying, but at the same time, it's not because it goes in with the tone of the rest of the film.
It does. It's just a fun popcorn. It's just right. It was truly the effects truly did take you back to the 30s and 40s because right there they didn't have those effects either.
Yeah.
Right.
So we talked about Halloween. We talked a little bit about Terrfier. That's gonna be interesting to see about Terrfier because it's supposed to be coming on. It's supposed to be absolutely more brutal than the first one. And going back to the Netflix, you wonder if they're gonna are they gonna allow that? Because I know that they're not shy about showing movies, as far as the gore in the movies go. But will Netflix will they be ready for something like a Terrfier 2? Are they going to be ready for that?
I think so.
I mean,
as long as you put the right guy, parental guy, whatever the warning is on there, I guess, and they don't care. They think that the Terrfier 2 got that big cult following. I think they're going to draw a lot more fans into watching the second one. So.
Will we still see movies becoming cult favorites, Brian? Do you think?
I think I mean, this is something I've actually kind of thought about over the years. I think I think as we've seen more and more content come through, as there are more and more options, I think you're going to see a glut of quote unquote cult movies, much more than you will like movies that really tap into the mainstream as a whole. I think you're going to find more movies that have a niche following for one reason or another, whether you're talking about an independent drama, whether you're talking about a horror movie, whether you're talking about sci-fi movie. I think you're going to find that being the case more than now. I mean, granted, if you're talking about something like The Room is brought up here as far as favorite cult movie. Now, granted, yeah, that I can see that is very much a cult movie. That is what most people consider a cult movie. That Rocky Horror Picture Show, that type of stuff.
Dude, Rocky Horror.
But at the same time, I mean, I do think you're going to be seeing more movies that have niche followings more than you will films that speak to the larger audiences in general. And I think that's one of the things that, I mean, so much of it comes from a glut of options, a glut of streaming services, because I mean, basically you can tailor make your streaming experience to whatever interests you. You don't have to be subscribed to everything. If you're interested in Disney movies, you get Disney Plus and maybe Hulu. You want to see something more mainstream, you can do HBO Max, you can do Netflix, you can do, you've got so many different options. And if you want to stick with horror, you've got Shudder. So, or if you want to go with more art house, more obscure stuff, you have the Criterion Channel. So
you got
really
AMC Plus as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of it, will we have movies like Donnie Darko, like The Room, like Rocky Horror? Are we going to get those type of cult movies that even if you're not in the cult, everybody kind of knows? I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I think you're more likely, what you're going to see is you're going to find movies that get audiences and get specific audiences that have nothing to do with what makes money at the box office. Because so much of what our movie watching experience now is it's so much more individualized because of the way in the past couple of years what we've seen in terms of streaming just kind of taking over in a lot of ways.
I'm hoping that this, and you let me know too, panel, what your thoughts are about this, and you guys in the chat too, because I'm really curious. We talk about physical media, and we're talking about how it seems to be retreating, but it's sort of funny as to how it seems to be retreating. Now, this may be this may be a shot in the dark here. I'm going to throw out here, but it does seem to be gathering more and more momentum. And we've seen this before happen. Is all of a sudden VHS tapes are all of a sudden the rage. Everybody wants to get VHS tapes. It's the same thing that happened with records. Everybody said the record was dead. Everybody said no, anything was happening. I mean, at all the record stores closing up, everybody was going to CDs, cassette tapes are obsolete. Everything, and the record as we know it was a dead form. But lo and behold, all of a sudden, now it's come back, it's come back enough to whereas Target's record selection area is bigger than the movie selection now.
Yeah, that's same with Walmart.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that VHS can help spur a little bit of a comeback? I mean, for physical media. I mean,
I hope so.
my feelings on physical media are, it's such a tough call because of the fact I don't know about VHS because of the fact that it's like, so because honestly VHS, even in the 80s and 90s, VHS was always kind of a shaky media it was kind of like cassette tapes where it's like if you played it too much, you ran the risk of just running it into the ground to where it's unusable.
Right.
So I mean I
think the materials now though
but if you preserve like records and you preserve like DVDs, Laserdisc, whatever, you have less of that possibility. I will say I do think boutique labels like Scream Factory, Shout Factory, like Kino Lorber, like Criterion, like Film Detective, which is something that I've gotten into over the past few months. I think stuff like that. That's Arrow. Film Detective.
Film Detective.
So Film Detective, they look out, and I actually have an interview with the founder of them coming up on the podcast on Friday. But so they look at older movies, and they basically do restorations of like movies from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s and stuff like that. And so it's been really interesting to see what they do. And they do like full 4K restorations. And like it feels like you're watching the film anew. So, but my point is, because of the fact that so many of the major studios are banking more on streaming, I mean, they're still putting out physical releases for films, but they're not giving them the same respect and interest that they did in the early days of DVDs. That, in terms of like all of the bells and whistles as far as documentaries, commentaries, all of that, we're not really seeing that anymore. And so that's kind of been relegated to the boutique labels who license movies and release them with their own ideas on extras and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think, with physical media, I hope we get back to a point where physical media starts to get a foothold on again, and especially once people realize that just because streaming offers the potential to have everything doesn't mean it's going to have everything, and there are so many movies that don't even have streaming releases. Like the best you can do in some cases is like somebody's taping it off of, recording it off of a VHS or off of like a Laserdisc or something and putting it on YouTube. Once people start to kind of realize that, I hope that the appreciation for physical media comes back, though.
Yeah, I do too. We got about I'll say about 15 minutes left, so I'll throw out one more topic we can chop up with. We'll talk about the other franchise that's big right now in the horror thing, and that is the horror community. That's Scream 6. You can't help it. You can't help but hear about it because people
almost died. I'm sorry, I had to throw it out there.
People talk about it all the time. But I just thinking about it, going like, okay, let's see what everybody else thinks. I know what some people think because I can't come onto YouTube without hearing about it. What do you think? What do you think they should do with Scream 6? I went with I have to admit, I went with the James Patterson theory on this. I thought it'd be more interesting for Scream 6. I thought it'd be really good to do a Kiss the Girls type scenario.
I actually haven't seen the most recent Scream, which I'm a huge fan of the franchise, so it's kind of disappointing that I haven't, but I just haven't really had time because almost as soon as the movie came out in theaters, Sundance happened, so I was governing that. And then I just haven't really had a chance to see it yet. And part of the reason for that is because of the fact that I also wanted to rewatch the first 4 before I watched it.
Right.
So, because I hadn't seen 3 or 4 in a long time, it's like, so I can't really speak about like what the 6th one would do in terms of coming off the 5th one. But I mean, one of the things I have, so long as you're kind of staying true to the idea of the initial concept in those first few movies, I think I think you can do some interesting ideas with it.
I do too. I do too. But I there's one thing they have to get away though. For that franchise to keep going, they have to get away from people who know Sydney.
Right.
It's a freaking parody of itself. It really is it's a bad parody of itself. It's like everything to her, and it's like we all know that going inside every theater. It's like, okay, whoever's closest to Sydney, that's the person that's going to be. It's like it's a boring scenario.
Yeah.
And then want to bring back characters. Well, bring back Stu. Stu's dead.
That's
Stu's done. That TV that hit his noggin that his head went through.
Yeah.
It was plugged in when it hit his head. He ain't coming back from that.
I've only seen the first 2 and never really got into the series otherwise.
Yeah, well, he died in the first one. He is the one that Matthew Lillard played, and he ain't coming back. Billy Loomis, he died right there in the first one. There won't be no sequel, and there wasn't. So I mean, so there you go. Well, okay, there's a movie Star-Lord called Grosse Pointe Blank. I highly recommend that because that's how Dan Aykroyd died too. He died.
I love Grosse Pointe Blank. It just I think it's coming up on its. If it hasn't already happened, I think its 25th anniversary is coming up because I know it was released around this time in '97. I love Grosse Pointe Blank. It's one of my. It's such a fun movie, and yeah, I mean it's one of those ones where I'm not sure you occasionally find it on streaming, but sometimes it just kind of gets lost, which is a shame because it's really a good one.
I'm gonna have to get off here real quick.
Okay. We'll go. We got like a couple. Yeah, we can do it. I tell you what, real quick. Let's go around. I'll go around the panel.
All right.
If you were directing Scream 6 and Halloween Ends in 3 minutes, how would you end both franchises?
Okay, Scream. I would probably have to kill Sidney Prescott for that franchise to end. I think.
Okay.
Halloween. Real quick, Laurie and Michael must die by each other's own hands, I guess, to say. Maybe falling off that radio tower, something to their death. I don't know.
All right.
That's my short answer. I could go in more depth, but I don't really have a whole lot of time. Maybe we can do this again.
Echo, what do you think?
I'd have Sydney end up snapping and becoming the killer and then dying.
I had her doing that in 5. I had her becoming the killer in 5, but it didn't happen.
And then I'd have it wake up and just be a dream.
There you go. Make all of them a dream.
How about if she wakes up, turns around, and sees Tommy Jarvis next to her?
Oh God!
There you go. Crossover potential, baby.
With Halloween, I'm such a fan of that series that I'd give you a fanboy like ending that would take just an hour just to
right. Yeah, that's me too. Yeah.
But I'd want to make the whatever ending I'd go for that. I want to make both the older and the newer fans happy. And then about 5 or whatever years later, I'll go ahead and do a Halloween H2O type deal. Kill him and then he's alive, and have Busta Rhymes show up and kung fu him.
Yeah. But this time Busta Rhymes can come back kung fu him, but Busta Rhymes is the Crow.
Did you go see that how H2O in the movie theater?
You guys later. I gotta get out of here because the wife's home with dinner and everything. So
Okay, no problem, Justin.
yeah, I
Thanks for
appreciate
coming
you
in.
coming. This has been great. I'd love to do this again with you guys. Plan it out another
Sure.
time. Love to have another roundtable discussion for sure.
Roundtables, more fun.
Yes, sir. Nice meeting you guys.
Nice meeting you.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
man.
You too, man.
But no, H2O, when I went and saw it in the movie theater, that got a standing ovation. That ending. Everyone was standing up clapping.
Yeah, everybody was hyped up for the ending. They thought it was the right way to end it. And then they turned around and ruined it. Brian, what about you? You're the last one on the spot. So how would you
So I haven't seen obviously I haven't seen Scream 22 yet, but I do like this idea being thrown out here in the chat of it was Drew Barrymore watching a really long movie. But if we're going with the idea of legacy sequels, I think you have to go with an idea. I think you have to sort of look at what happened with the Star Wars legacy sequels, where you completely change the trajectory of what you think a legacy character is going to be like. And it turns out that Sidney Prescott just wants to burn the entire horror genre to the ground. So, and then with Halloween, I'll admit I actually haven't seen Halloween Kills yet, but with Halloween Ends, I would love for nothing more than to see John Carpenter come on screen and just basically go, well, that's all we have for you, folks. We'll see you.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great? You know, it'd be really fun. I tell you, it would be really fun. Is that if they for the final scene, after they have Michael down, they take off his mask, and it is John Carpenter, because he's about 80 years old now anyway. So he would actually fit. He would fit the age. You know, Michael's about 80. John Carpenter's about 80. That's what Michael Myers should be. He actually should be John Carpenter.
I'm sure Nick Castle wouldn't have a problem with that.
Thank you, Betty. I thank you guys all for coming out. Listen, I want to thank you. I want to thank the panel. I want to thank Justin and Echo and Brian for coming out and giving us a hand. We're shorthanded on our guests tonight. Tomorrow night we will be having Tim Hatch. Will be here. He's one of the stars of Amityville in Space, which is coming out in the summer. And then and I'm going to be watching Noah's Shark after this stream.
That's what I want to watch that too.
Yep, it's over on Tubi. I know you think after watching Blood Claws I would learn, right? But I'm going back and I'm going. Well, first I think I'm going to do my review for Blood Claws, and then I'll come back and watch Noah's Shark. And Tim Hatch will be here tomorrow. He's worked with Mark Poloni on many of his movies. And I'm looking forward to him. He seems like a very nice and fun guy. I've seen him on a couple of streams for House of Horrors, and I'm glad he's agreed to come over and talk to us tomorrow. And maybe he'll bring us some ideas and some stories about filming Amityville in space, like how do they get up to space to film it. So yeah, just to throw that out there.
But how did Amityville get in space is the big question.
Yeah. You know what? It probably blew itself up there just to get away from people trying to film that damn house. You know, the house is sitting there going like, you know, I'm tired of you guys taking pictures of me. I'm out of here, and just blew itself up into space.
And you know, there has not been an event there since that family moved out.
They never had another event. They never had any sort of events.
No, that's why there's led to some debate about whether or not the family was telling the truth.
Right.
Oh, there hasn't been any. Oh, I see what you're saying about any events, supernatural events.
At the actual house, yeah.
Well, we do know that there was some evil there. There must have been something there because he killed his whole damn family. So I definitely think that that was, something was there. I mean, you're not all there in your right mind when you use when you do something like that. But yeah, thanks a lot so much. Thanks so much for coming out. And yeah, we'll do another roundtable. We did one before, and we'll try to do one. Maybe we'll come back and do one in June, and get a couple more people on the panel, and we'll chop it up some more. But thanks for you guys' opinions and your insights. I'm always appreciated. Again, thank you to the chat for coming out and hanging out with us. And we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock for Tim Hatch. On the behalf of the Cheetah, who, if you notice, he did not come by tonight. But tomorrow night, thank you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace. You guys can stay there for a second if you guys want.
Okay.